Move over, Oscars. Here's PETA's Oscats, the awards for movies that use their platform to spread a pro-animal message or theme. And the winners are next on the PETA Podcast. Welcome to the PETA Podcast. I'm Emil Guillermo, your host for this inside look at animal rights, brought to you by PETA, the largest animal rights organization in the world. On today's episode, when the Oscars come out, you know it's time for its animal-loving friend, PETA's Oscats. PETA's way of honoring the best films of the year that had a special theme or message that was especially animal kind or friendly, or a production that did film in an innovative way to reduce the number of animals needed in a film. This year, unlike the Oscars, where Everything Everywhere All at Once seems to be the one film that is getting all the heat and attention, in the Oscats, animation films stole the show. Here's my conversation with PETA's Courtney Penley on the PETA Podcast.
AFTV, the Animals in Film and Television division here at PETA, tracks all film and TV productions, and we work with creatives to help them make their productions kind for animals. And after screening practically everything that comes out each year, we like to recognize a handful of those films and stars for compassionate and animal-friendly messaging, which is what we're doing here with the Oscats. This is our 6th annual Oscats. Big deal.
Yeah, and now the 6th annual, and I think we've covered most of them, except during the pandemic, it was kind of hard, but we're covering it this year because the movies are roaring back. And it's important to note that you look at everything out there and to make sure, is it how they're treating animals or just in how they're messaging about animals in their movies?
Yeah, there's a large span of what we're looking at here. So we recognize films, actors, crew members, to whoever it might be that's helping to promote compassionate filmmaking for animals. So whether that means using faux fur instead of animal hide, which is what we're awarding this year in Black Panther's Wakanda Forever, or featuring a protest demonstration and storyline on anti-vivisection in The Bad Guys, the animated film, we are just looking at all little moments and big moments and opportunities to celebrate filmmakers.
If people look at the regular Oscars and then they look at the Oscats, there may be some intersection, but these are some of these films you may not have caught those moments. People may not have noticed them, and it's worth, saying, hey, look, this was a moment in film in 2023. It's worth it, and here are the people who exemplified compassion in film.
That's how we feel. While there are many Oscar contenders that we absolutely loved and screened, what we're really looking for are these moments that are just so, whether they're tiny, whether they're big, they're just moments that are great for animals. And that's not what the Oscars committee is looking for, right? So we make our own rules when it comes to these. Some of our categories will cross over with the actual Oscar awards. So we have the Best Animated Feature, for instance, which went to Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Now, what are they looking for when it comes to Best Animated Feature? I'm not quite sure, but for us, it was the heart-touching adoption messaging that was featured throughout. They called attention to the plight of homeless dogs, the horror of animal hoarding, and they also continued a conversation from the first film on declawing and just how horrendous that is. So yeah, there's probably not that much crossover between the Oscats and the Oscars, but we are just having a lot of fun with it, and we're able to shine a light on some issues that people may not be aware of and how those affect animals.
Okay, so let's talk just briefly about Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Kind of biased when there's a character named Puss, right? It's an animal. It's kind of biased.
Yeah, I don't know if it's biased necessarily. I mean, I love the Puss in Boots movies, and I went into this one thinking it's going to be fun, but they're just trying to be comedic and have a fun adventure. And I don't know that there's necessarily going to be any great animal messaging. Well, boy, was I wrong. There's a storyline with a dog named, well, Puss is on his last life. So he ends up going to this house, and it turns out to be the house of a hoarder. And it's just awful. I mean, he's miserable there. It's crowded and dirty and unsafe. And he meets a little dog who has no name and will later be known as Perrito. And this dog has suffered so many horrors at the hands of humans that just didn't want him. He was thrown in a dumpster, and the people tried to drown him, but he's always positive and upbeat. And in the end, Puss and Kitty Softpaws, the two main characters, end up adopting Perrito. Well, that's a spoiler. Spoiler alert.
It was okay. Yeah. That's
there
good.
will
But
be spoilers. But yeah, it's just so sweet. It's such a good movie, whether or not the lead was a cat, or not. We just loved it.
and one of the characters is named Chorizo, huh?
Perrito.
Oh, Perrito. Oh, not Chorizo. I'm thinking
Chorizo.
non-vegan things. Okay, all right. So,
yeah. Now, had they named the dog Chorizo, we might have written them and asked them to rename the dog Soy Rizo.
okay. So, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. What do you call their award? What did they win?
So they actually won our best animated feature. We just loved it so much, all around. It was just an all around great movie, great cast, great messaging, and we want people to know just how great it is. So best animated feature.
Another movie that won is a movie called Fresh. Tell me about Fresh.
Yeah, Fresh is not for the faint of heart. Definitely need to go into that one with a strong stomach. But Fresh won our Meat is Murder award because it offers an artful allegory for eating meat and just how cruel it is by putting humans in the place of animals that are awaiting slaughter.
Wait a minute. That sounds almost like not politically correct, putting humans in there, huh?
Yeah, but maybe it'll make viewers stop and think for a minute about and be disturbed by where their meat really comes from when they choose to eat animals. And so again, it's a horror film, it's body horror, lots of blood and gore. So if you go into that one, just have a tight stomach, be aware that it's not going to be a feel-good film, but we do think that people should check it out.
So this is Fresh, and was it in the theaters? I mean, I imagine, or was it?
Yeah, I don't believe that Fresh went to the theaters. We watched it on streaming. A couple of us watched it. One person watched it and was like, oh my gosh, I just loved it. All of us in animals and film and TV are huge horror nuts. And so we were lining up to take turns to watch this film and decide whether or not the messaging was award worthy.
And well, anytime you question whether or not meat is murder, I mean, this sort of brings it home, right? When you put yourself in the place of the animals.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any question that meat that comes from an animal is murder. I mean, the fact of the matter is that animals are killed for their meat, and there's no need in it, right? We've got so many great vegan alternatives out there. So people should watch this film, stop and think about it for a minute. And hopefully they will make the transition. They can go into our website actually and get a vegan starter kit and help them figure out a way to transition off of animal meat.
Yeah. And if you're already vegan, take your non-vegan friends to see it and see if, they transform, I guess. All right. So then another film that you're honoring is The Bad Guys. What is The Bad Guys?
Oh man, The Bad Guys is another really great animated film. So we loved a lot of animated films this year, and that's why we decided to award Puss in Boots with the best animated feature. And The Bad Guys won our Test Students, Not Animals award. So again, here at PETA, we make up our own rules when it comes to award titles. You won't find Test Students, Not Animals in the official Oscars category. But in this, there is a group of notorious criminals, bad guys, that go on a redemption journey. And that redemption journey starts with them freeing guinea pigs from a laboratory where they're doomed to suffer at the hands of experimenters. So we were cheering when we saw this moment, and it's great because children are getting to see the reality of what animals used in laboratories endure.
Yeah. Does it have the power of really changing or having an effect on people's attitudes toward vivisection, you think?
Well, it's an animated film, so we're not going to see any video footage of how realistic those horrors for animals used in testing are. It's also targeted for children, so it's going to be a pretty G-rated messaging. But we thought that it was lovely, and we hope that people will see it. We'll see that people are outside of this laboratory protesting the cruel testing that is being done inside the lab, and that they will connect with the main characters and their mission to free the guinea pigs. And so our hope is that it will get people thinking about vivisection and the realities of what's going on behind closed doors in these labs.
So the bad guys wins the Test Students Not Animals Award, which is great. So we covered some, films that maybe some people might have missed. They should catch, because these are the movies that are worth focusing in on to get an animal message or to see how animal messages are used in Hollywood. But you do some traditional movies too. Let's go to Best Actor. Best Actor. Here's a guy who wins, who's been in a lot of movies. Let's see, as I say that, I can't remember one movie who was in now.
One of my favorites is The Fly.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I was going to say, it was
a horror nut. That's one that my boyfriend hasn't seen it, actually. He just mentioned that the other day, and I'm like, yes, maybe we'll do a double feature of The Fly and Fresh. That would be perfect.
Here's the thing about The Fly. You learn all about how flies digest their food. I mean, when you realize that, you say, wow, But anyway, the Best Actor award goes to Jeff Goldblum. And why does he win? Why was he so good this year, Courtney?
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum's character in Jurassic World Dominion is awesome. He, Dr. Ian Malcolm is his name. And Jeff Goldblum gives this powerhouse performance, delivering a speech about how humans don't have dominion over nature. So we were really excited and had to find a way to award this film for the anti-speciesist messaging that he delivers in this when he strips away his co-star's illusions of superiority. It's just fantastic.
Well, anti-speciesist, that is really an important thing for PETA, and to have a message like that in the movies, in a mainstream movie, that's kind of a coup. That's like saying that the values and the ideas of PETA aren't so far from the mainstream as people might think.
Exactly. And you get to see it in play in Jurassic World Dominion. They do a really great job of highlighting what happens when people try to fool themselves into thinking that we can control nature and animals, in this case, dinosaurs. So it's a really eye-opening film in that way. And Jeff Goldblum just really hit it home for us.
Yeah. And we know now also that Jeff Goldblum is not a speciesist, having played a fly. So he's not speciesist at all.
He doesn't discriminate. He'll do any role, regardless of what kind of animal he's playing.
Yeah, he'll take any role. Yeah. All right. Now, Best Actress. Who got Best Actress in this year's Oscats?
Oh my gosh, Tilda Swinton got Best Actress. We just love her. Her performance in The Eternal Daughter was beautiful, fantastic. But the thing that really, really drove it home for us was the fact that she invited her canine companion to set. This isn't her first time doing that, actually. What people don't realize is that any animal used for film and television, whether that's a wild animal or a domestic animal like a cat or dog, they often suffer at the hands of abusive trainers, and they languish in barren cages at training facilities. So what Tilda Swinton did here was she invited her own canine companion to set to ensure that he had a cozy bed at night to lay his head and really just lives a comfortable life. And that's so important for us.
And her own dog is Louis?
Yeah, I don't know if it's Louis or Luis, Louis. But she has several dogs, and I can't name the films off the top of my head, but this isn't her first time doing that. And so we just love her for her commitment to the animals' well-being and making sure that they have a comfortable place to lay their head at night.
It's like Take Your Dog to Work Day for the movies.
That's what we're saying. Yeah, we write to filmmakers all the time and we say, hey, if you have a dog in this, have a Take Your Dog to Work Day. They will love it. You know your dog better than than anybody. And what people see on a film set is just a tiny glimpse of the life of animals that are used for film and television. So while people might be on a film set and be like, oh, I think that dog was fine, they don't realize what training techniques go into getting that dog to behave the way that they did. And they don't know what happens to the dogs afterwards. But when filmmakers or actors choose to use their own companion animals like Tilda Swinton did, or like Bradley Cooper did a couple years ago in A Star is Born, then we know what kind of life that animal lives, and we know where they're going at night, and we feel really comfortable with that.
Great. So now a couple other awards before we let you go, but the Faux for Fox's Sake Oscat. Who gets the Faux for Fox's Sake Oscat?
So this is awesome. The Faux for Fox's Sake Oscat goes to Ruth E. Carter. She is a costumer that works tirelessly in Hollywood. She's always working. And for this project, it was Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So we are just so excited to celebrate Ruth E. Carter this year with the Faux for Fox's Sake Award for always considering the animals when creating costumes for these big films. In this one, all of the fur that we see on screen is cruelty-free.
Yeah, it's funny. It's where I am right now as we speak. There's a bit of a cold wave going through the country, and I noticed that the cold is here, but I don't see as much fur. I see a lot of fake fur. I see a lot of people avoiding fur. That's a real thing over the last generation. That's a positive thing, and now it's like in the movies too.
Yeah, that's the best thing ever. We're seeing a ban on fur. They're not recently here in California where I'm at, they banned the sale of fur in stores. And so we're starting to see people say, hey, that's gross. It's cruel. We don't want any part in it. It looks neat. So why don't we just make faux versions that can keep people warm and look stylish? There's no reason for an animal to suffer for a coat. It's just silly.
So Ruth E. Carter wins the Faux for Fox's Sake Oscat for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. We're going to do one more. Jordan Peele he gets an award for Nope. And now a lot of people like his style of horror because it brings a kind of diverse message into the genre of horror. Why does he get an Oscat?
Yeah, Jordan Peele. We do love Jordan Peele, and we really enjoyed the film Nope. But what he's getting for the Oscats this year is our Primo Primate Award. He's getting this because he and his team relied on humane technology to bring Gordy the chimpanzee to life and to highlight just how psychologically brutal film and TV sets can be for animals. This is the type of ingenuity that we absolutely love to see and celebrate.
Yeah, so he's actually showing how strange it is for real animals by showing it through a CGI chimpanzee so that that it didn't really go through the trauma, but he shows the trauma. So
exactly. And PETA and other animal advocates successfully ended the use of great apes in Hollywood. So he had to use a CGI chimpanzee. He could not use a real chimpanzee, thank goodness. But what we want to talk about today is the fact that primates such as capuchin monkeys and other animals are still exploited by misguided filmmakers. And so we want them to look to Jordan Peele's film to say, hey, this CGI animal is so beautiful. I mean, you go into the theater and when you first see Gordy the chimpanzee, you're like, oh my God, is that a real chimpanzee? But they're not. It's a CGI creation that's gorgeous, super lifelike, and there's no reason why other filmmakers shouldn't be doing the same.
And you can't tell the difference. And
not at all.
And once again, for the uninitiated, CGI is
computer generated imaging.
And that's a thing. That's a thing. And PETA helped get that in. And I imagine because CGI is so good now, it has probably eliminated the need to put real animals on the set by about 90% or so.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason, I'd say 100%. There's no reason at all that people should be putting animals on set at all. And this opens up just a quick conversation about another film that did not win an Oscar this year, but we wanted to celebrate in the moment. This is Cocaine Bear. So Cocaine Bear just came out like a week ago or so. And we were blown away at how stunning the bear in Cocaine Bear is. And we were just like, oh my gosh, is this a real bear? We had to write to ask. So we actually wrote Universal and they confirmed that they were using CGI to create this bear. So we decided that we were going to do a one-off award. So Elizabeth Banks and Cocaine Bear did not qualify for this year's round of Oscats, unfortunately, but they were able to, or we were able to bestow them with the honor of the Barry, get it? The Barry Best Award, which really received a lot of great attention and was able to start conversation about the use of animals in film and just how cruel it is. So when you see something like the beautiful bear in Cocaine Bear or the CGI chimpanzee in Nope, you know, I have to ask, why are filmmakers still using wild animals at all? There's just no call for it.
Yeah. And this is just another year. I mean, it's been going on for a while, and it is amazing how it gets better and better. So there really is no reason to have real animals on the set and to, you know, to put animals in any kind of danger where an abuse can occur. So, well, you know, I want to mention this again, because this is important, because there is a little disclaimer that Oscars, Academy Awards, they're registered trademarks of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, not affiliated or associated with PETA, and nor do they endorse, sponsor, or otherwise approve of PETA's Oscat. So this is kind of like a Rebel Awards kind of thing, huh?
Yeah, this is our own thing. We're definitely not associated with the Oscar awards. However, we hope that some of the listeners of this podcast may work in film and television. And what they can do for us is to please consider that if you're on set and you see anything, an animal being abused, neglected, even just used in any way, something out of the ordinary, whatever it might be, we have an anonymous whistleblower hotline. They can call us. Completely confidential and anonymous. If they're able to take photos or videos of anything questionable, they should do that. Reach out to us, and then we can help and make sure that that set is a friendly, is kind to animals.
That's good. What do you want to give out the whistleblower hotline number?
Well, they can just go to PETA.org and they'll find us on there, or they can email us at aftv@PETA.org.
That's good. That's good to know. aftv@PETA.org. You know, the Oscars are coming up in...
Yeah, they're going to be happening this coming Sunday, March the 12th.
And so, you know, the big film that everyone's talking about, because it's kind of one on the run up, you know, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. EEAAO, everything, all at once. EEAAO, I call it, which is kind of like, sounds like Old MacDonald. But it's a big Asian film, and it's exciting. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but, you know, they had hot dogs. They had, and I don't know if they were vegan hot dogs, but maybe, I think Oscar Mayer ignored a letter that they sent to them about they wanted free hot dogs or something. But I don't know. Have you checked out whether the hot dogs in the film are vegan?
In a world where people have hot dogs as fingers, like that's an interesting one. Yeah, I absolutely loved Everything Everywhere All at Once. And we did reach out to the production, but not about the hot dog fingers. There were some animals in Everything Everywhere All at Once. So we just wanted to open up conversation with them to talk about that. And, you know, how moving forward, hopefully they won't use any real animals in future films. So as much as we loved that one, and I wish we could have awarded it because it was so much fun, it's just a wild ride. You know, we weren't able to find any positive. Well, we weren't able to award it due to the use of animals. And there was one storyline which was kind of fun, but not necessarily award worthy. So, but we challenged them next year to make a film that's compassionate and kind to animals, and then maybe they can win an Oscat too.
Yeah, well, you know, you got to say the Daniels did their best to make Asian Americans kind to Asian Americans in their film, and that's good. That was a plus. So, and you know, maybe next year an Oscat for the sequel to Everything Everywhere All at Once, the animal version.
We loved the animatronic raccoon, right? So if they could just make all animals, if using animals animatronic, that would be great. So again, we're not saying don't have animal depictions in your films, right? We're just saying if you're going to use animals at all, make them CGI animals.
Yeah.
Have stock footage or animatronics or some other kind of humane technology.
Yeah. Or if you're going to use hot dogs, make them vegan hot dogs, for goodness sakes. Yeah.
Yeah. Just put a disclaimer. There were many disclaimers on the screen during Everything Everywhere all at once. So they could have easily said, hey, everybody, these hot dogs are vegan. But they didn't. So we should probably write them and just ask, like, can you confirm, were these hot dogs vegan?
I know they weren't Oscar Myers, though. Anyway, well, listen, always great fun to talk about the Oscats. And, the thing is, it's sort of a fun way to talk about the serious matter of animals and how animals are used in society, especially in these areas that are supposed to be fun and artistic, and, people may overlook being serious about animals.
Absolutely. So we just say, if people are going to go and see a movie or watch a TV show and they know there are going to be animals in that movie or TV show, we're asking them to please just don't watch it. Sometimes sometimes you don't. But if you know there are animals in it, don't watch it, because we need to send a message.
Right.
We can skip it. And if they do want to watch those films anyway, then please just pay close attention, because when we say we want to hear from everybody, that doesn't extend just to people working in film and television. We mean that for audiences too. So if you're watching a TV show and you see something questionable with an animal in it, please just reach out to us here at PETA. Let us know. You can also reach out to the filmmakers or the network or whatever it is where that show is airing, and you can let them know, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see real animals in film. Please use CGI. We love CGI, or just omit those animals.
PETA's Courtney Penley on the Oscats. Go to PETA.org for more about the winners. And that's our show for today. Hey, thank you for listening. Don't forget to send a link of this show to your friends. Tell them you like the PETA Podcast. Contact us at PETA.org. You can find me on Twitter at Emil Amok, that's EMILAMOK, or see my vlog at AMOK.com, or see my work at ALDEF, AALDEF.org/blog, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, once again, AALDEF.org/blog. Or if you're in New York City, you can see me off Broadway, March 9th through 26th, in Ishmael Reed's The Conductor at Theater for the New City in New York City. Once again, thank you for listening. Check out all our episodes on your favorite podcast app or on Apple Podcasts, where you can subscribe to as well as rate and review the show. It helps get the word out about the issues you care about. Our music is provided by Carbon Works. Check them out on YouTube. And join us again next time for more insight into animal rights and the fight for a cruelty-free world on the PETA Podcast. I'm Emil Guillermo.